of all of America's much more consequential violence. Okay? It's the same reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby. Mug I got from England specifically for a commemorative mug I got from England. Commemorative mug I got from England specifically for a commemorative. Absolute garbage. Did you compare this to the Japanese airport experience? Yeah, the Japanese airport experience is like everything works, everything is fast. Kaya, place.
Grabs the thing.
Get back there. What is this? Don't worry.
I mean that's 100.
Motherfucker, come here. Stay. If you run right now, I'll fucking kill you. Like, I'll actually kill you, okay? In front of everyone. Stay.
Stay. If you run right now, I'll fucking kill you. Like, I'll actually kill you, okay? In front of everyone.
Come here. Hey. Motherfucker, come here. Stay. No, come here. Motherfucker, come here.
Alright, so those were 4 clips of Hasan just abusing his dogs. This was posted to Tectone's Twitter. I'm guessing he's the one who posted it himself. And at this point, this whole animal abuse thing around Hasan has been going around for, I believe, for like a week now, or close to a week. And I wasn't planning on making a video on it, simply because there's been, at this point, like just about every, I can't say every major streamer, but there's been a lot of coverage on his animal abuse. And Hasan's responses are usually just, I guess for lack of better words, they're weak responses. At this point, they're responses of a coward. He's just throwing out words. He's not really thinking before he says anything. He's just throwing out words. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall and just hoping something sticks. And everyone just says, okay, hey, let's just forget about this. That's basically what he's doing at this point. But what made me decide to make a video on this was seeing that there was more footage of him abusing his current dog, Kaya. Because from what I understand, this dog down here is not his current dog. So I had seen the first video, the one that blew up that everyone saw, where the dog was screeching and then went and sat down in his spot. And then he said, "Oh, the dog clipped its nail." Which, when you watch the video, I mean, you don't even have to watch the video closely. The dog did not clip its nail. For those of you that don't know what a nail is, it's like, imagine my hand right here. This is a dog paw, right? The nail will be somewhere around kind of like where your thumb is. Okay, but maybe a bit lower, just because of how the dog paws are. So it'll stick right here, and it doesn't move. The nail doesn't move. Okay, the rest of the paw moves, but the nail just stays there. And the nail, from time to time, you do have to trim it back, because it'll grow, it'll curl, and it'll grow. You don't want it to grow into the dog, And the longer it grows, the easier it is for the dog to clip itself, to something for that nail to get caught on something. And and dogs, because I got a dog, have a what's called a dachshund or dachshund, whichever way you pronounce it, and she has a nail. She has 2, both her paws. And when it grows too long, I'll know, because she'll put both her paws, like I could be sitting on my bed right here at my chair, or be coming in through the front door, and she comes, runs at me, greets me, jumps up, puts both her paws up against me. And when she tries to jump down, I see her nail getting caught. I'm like, all right, it's time to trim it back. Time to trim it back, because why not? Why let her suffer? But And usually when it happens to my dog, I don't know if all dogs are like this. My dog doesn't yelp. My dog doesn't screech. My dog, she just moves her paws and tries to remove it. And I say, okay, hold on. I'll move, get her do now out the way, and boom, she's done. That's it. Easy as that. So that's the first video I saw, and that was his excuse. Then was this video, the one with this dog where he's pulling it by the tail, which is insane, because anyone who owns a dog knows that a dog's tails are sensitive. You don't want to mess with the dog's tail. And now today I saw this video right here and this video right here, and I saw them right now. Just posted to Tectone's Twitter account, and I just opened up Twitter, and these two videos is what made me say, all right, I'm gonna make a video. I know I'm sort of rambling. I'm getting to my point on what I want to say. One of the things I wanted to say is Hasan is a coward. Instead of owning up to what he did and saying, you know what, that's wrong, I'm not going to do it again, he comes up with excuses. Like I said, he's just throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping something sticks, throwing words just coming out of his mouth with no second thought whatsoever on what he's saying, and just hoping that people leave what he's saying, actually forget about what he's saying. And then, of course, you have his friends coming to his rescue, like this Valkyrae, the streamer. She's a big streamer. And she was like, "Oh, people, like you, the way they're reacting, you would think that, what was it she said? I think she said that you would think they're reacting to like Free Palestine or something like that." And when I heard that, I was like, you know what? That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Because what do you mean that people can only react to something like what's going on in Palestine and in Gaza, but they can't react to animal abuse? I mean, is that what she's trying to say? I get it, you're his friend, but as a friend, you gotta be ready to call out your friend when they're doing something bad. Like, otherwise, you're not a friend. You're just an accomplice at that point. Because then it makes you wonder, like, okay, does she know that he abuses his dogs? I heard that Ludwig, or if that's how you pronounce it, Ludwig, came to Hasan's defense. I haven't seen exactly what he said or anything. I just read online he came to his defense, and if that's true, again, it brings up the question of, does he know that Hasan is abusing his dogs? Because you can clearly see in these videos he's abusing his dogs. And Hasan is not subtle about it at all. He's speaking just like I am now, and then he stops, he reaches, presses something, and then the dog immediately goes to sit down or screeches. Because only in one of these videos, for his dog Kaya, does the dog screech. And the other two videos, the dog, when I can tell, unless part of the video was muted or something, only one video the dog screeches, and the other two videos the dog goes and sits down. So he's not subtle about it at all. He might be thinking he's subtle, but he's not subtle. He's about as subtle as a 5 or 6 year old. But they think they're being sneaky, and they're not being sneaky. You can clearly see what they're doing. You can see their facial expressions, their body language, absolutely everything. You can see what they're doing. Not fooling anybody but themselves. It's like, at least, dude, like have whatever it is closer to you, like around where your mouse is. So while you're talking, you just do it. And if you don't want anyone finding out. But then again, that's not really a solution. Solution would be, like I said, it's to go ahead and admit, hey, I did something wrong. Animal abuse is wrong. There's nothing good about animal abuse at all. And I know there have been a couple of posts. I can't find them now. I know Asman Gold did a video about it, about the shock collar. That there's a piece of black tape behind it. The internet sleuths went ahead and were able to find the exact model and prove that that collar that he showed, that Hasan said this collar only has the ability to vibrate and not shock. Yeah, they went ahead and investigated and found out that that's a lie. It's definitely a shock collar, so it's definitely hurting the dog. And it's sad. The situation is really, really sad because when you have a dog, like I myself have a dog. Anyone watching this video, if you have a dog, I'm pretty sure you can agree that having a dog is not a right. I would say I wouldn't even say it's a luxury. I would say it's a privilege. And the reason I say it's a privilege, sorry, the reason I say it's a privilege is because when a dog becomes attached to you, your dog is literally willing to do anything for you. You wake up in the morning, your dog wakes up right there, happy to see you, wagging their tail. You come home from work, your dog is there, happy to see you, wagging their tail. When you're about to feed your dog, you see your dog jumping, lifting a paw, lifting the other paw, running in circles. They start barking in happiness and everything, making all kinds of sounds. Because that's what dogs are, wagging their tail. Put their food in their dog bowl, and then they go to town on it. Especially my dog. My dog, every time my dog eats, my dog swears that's the first time she's eaten in her life. Some other dogs eat slower, like my sister's dog. Sister's dog eats slowly as can be. My sister's dog will only eat if you stand next to her. You stand next to that dog, then that dog says, "Okay, time to eat." But as soon as you leave, you leave her side, she says, "All right, no more time to eat." But she follows you everywhere as well, just like my dog. The dogs truly do show unconditional love. Unconditional. And the other thing I will say, is Hasan is lucky that his dog doesn't just bite the shit out of him. Because again, dogs are animals, and animals get tired just like we humans do, and if you've ever been bit by a dog, it's not a pleasant experience. They can bite down. Dogs can bite down real hard. I remember the first time I had to give my dog medicine because her back two legs stopped working. Took it to the vet, and the vet basically, I forgot what it was called, but the vet said that usually dogs with longer spines usually suffer from that, from their back two legs not working properly. They one day just stop working and they basically drag themselves around and they're whining all the time. Take them to the vet, get them on medicine, antibiotics, and if that doesn't work, surgery, and see if surgery works, which is expensive. The vet told me without insurance, it's that surgery is easily about $10,000. And back then when that happened with my dog, that was late 2021. We're now in late 2025. It's been quite some time. I imagine, since the prices of everything have gone up, surgery like that, who knows, might be double by now, 20,000 or close to being double. Who knows, might be 15,000. Either way, it's expensive. Anywhere from 10 to 20,000. It's an expensive surgery. And I remember one of the medicines I had to use a syringe out of the bottle, use a syringe and feed it to her. And me, like a dumbass, I was like, all right, I gotta mouth feed it to her. It's the only way. Like a dumbass, I seriously thought that this was the only way to feed her medicine. Of course, my dog didn't like it because the medicine tasted like shit. And she bit me. Of course, she didn't bite me too hard. She drew a little bit of blood, nothing out of this world. My finger healed right away. But after that traumatic experience, I said to myself, I gotta find a better way of feeding her medicine. And sure enough, I did. I realized I could mix it into her food. And I realized the reason I could mix it into her food is because I had a previous vet who said that dogs are not stupid. Dogs will not go hungry. Okay, so just feed them their food. Okay, dogs will eat no matter what. And remembering that, I said, okay. And the reason that vet had told me that was because at the time I was feeding my dog dry food. And I noticed that whenever I fed my dog dry food, she would take so long to eat it that it was concerning. Because I was like, why is she taking so long to eat it? I know she's hungry. She has to eat it. But anyways, I eventually switched to wet food, and wet food, she loves it like crazy. But I remember that vet saying, you know what, go back to dry food. Dry food is better. She's not stupid. Dogs are not stupid. Dogs will eat. Dogs would not allow themselves to starve to death. They will eat. Anyways, long story short, I still feed my dog wet food because she just likes it a whole lot better. I don't like watching my dog just sit around and wait for something better to hit her dog bowl. So I just feed her wet dog food. So what I did was I mixed her medicine into her dog food, and I remember the first time I did that, she licked her dog food, stepped back from it, and walked away. And I said, I looked at her and I said to her, well, that's your food. You're gonna have to eat it. And sure enough, about 30 minutes later, she came back to the bowl, licked it again, didn't really like it, kept licking around the bowl to see what happened, and she realized there's nothing she can do to get around the taste of the medicine. It's in the food. So what did she do? She ate the food. And then from there on, as I had to feed her that medicine, every day was the same thing. Mix the medicine into her food, and and dogs are smart. Eventually, she realized, well, this taste is not going away. I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat, and she just started eating her food. Anyways, the point of this is just, if I remember correctly, it's just showing that like dogs are smart. Dogs are not stupid. Like I said, Hasan is lucky his dog doesn't take a good bite out of him. Doesn't get tired of the shock collar and just bite his ass. But the other thing, like I was also saying, it's a privilege to have a dog because they do show you unconditional love. They really do show you unconditional love. You sit next to your dog on the couch, maybe you put them on your bed, or maybe like my dog, like right here, I'm sitting down. My dog, from time to time, whilst I'm sitting here on my computer, will come up, walk to me, and give me these very low growls and these very small barks, like ruff, ruff, ruff. more like a breath mixed with with a bark, and it's usually her saying, "Pet me, I want attention." And I say, "Okay, sure, no problem." I reach down and I pet her, and she loves it. And if I don't pet her long enough and I stop petting her, she'll jump and she'll push against my leg, and I know, okay, gotta go again, and it's just pet her, and pet her, and again I'll stop. I'll go like after 5 minutes, and she'll do the same thing. She'll jump, push my leg, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'll pet you again. Dogs really love to be pet. Of course, seeing these videos of him just using his dogs, they're sad. It really is sad. One of the things he said, that I heard Hasan saying, was that Peter was notified, and Peter really didn't do anything. Of course, it's not much you can do off a video. Even if you have two eyes and you can see that, yeah, he's in the wrong. At this point, any one of us making a video, commenting on videos like this, talking about him abusing his dog, an organization like PETA, that's really nothing they can do. I mean, what are they gonna do? Like, go and arrest him? No, they can't. What are you gonna do? Call the cops? Well, the cops are not gonna be like, we can't do nothing. It's like what? There's a handful of internet sleuths that went ahead and realized, or rather investigated, the shock collar, and were able to prove, okay, that's a real shock collar. And the thing is, like, okay, yeah, that's fine, but again, the authorities are not going to do anything with that type of evidence. I'm guessing they would need something much more substantial, something that could really say, okay, without a shadow of a doubt, he really is abusing his dogs. Even the video right now playing where he pulls his dogs by the legs. I mean, sorry, not by the legs, by the tail, and saying, if you run, I'll kill you. I'm serious, I'll kill you. Again, not much can be done around that. Arrest him just for saying that is like saying, okay, you know what, we're going to take away your First Amendment. You can't do that, which is sad. Well, not really. It's not sad, but it is sad that not much can be done. I'll say that. But definitely, we need our First Amendment protected, but it is sad that not much can be done. I will say that I really do hope that Hasan does change. He is in a privileged position, a very, very privileged position, where he can wake up every day and just stream not have to worry about his bills because the guy's a millionaire. But despite what he might say and how he might act, and the things he might say about the president of this country, our government, our capitalism, anything like that. Despite what he might say, the guy is in a very comfortable, privileged spot, and he knows it. He knows it, and he knows what to do to push people's buttons, and he knows what to say in order to get views to continue paying his bills without an issue. He's in a very privileged spot, and hopefully one day he wakes up and actually notices that, and it's like, you know what? I got to change because there's only one life. We all got one life. This is not a game. There's no reset. There's no saving before a big event of your life. And if you screw up, you'll be like, well, let me rewind that, load up that save file, and let me play it differently to make sure I get the outcome I want. There's none of that in this life. None of that. You screw up enough, that's going to literally follow you for the rest of your life, especially if you don't learn from it. It's like I tell my sisters, there's two ways of learning in life. The first is the easy way. You learn the easy way. Okay? You have a, I guess for lack of better words, an open mind. You have an open mind, You don't shut yourself off to, how should I put it? You don't shut yourself off to other people's experiences when they share their advice, when they share their wisdom with you. You also don't allow haste to take over and your emotions to take over. You think. That's what I'm going to say. You think first before you act, before you speak. That's the easy way of doing things. You stop, take a couple of moments, a couple of seconds, you think about it, and you move on forward to the best of your ability because we don't know everything. That's why, like I said, you learn from other people's experiences and wisdom. That's pretty much the best way to learn. Doing things yourself. Taking a moment to realize, okay, this is what's happening in front of me. What's the best course of action based on what I know? And the other way is, listening to those around you. Grandparents, your parents, your uncles, aunts, your younger siblings, your older siblings, your cousins. People like that. Your friends, people you trust, people you love. Listening to what they've done and listening to what they have to say. Listening to other people's wisdoms. And then, of course, doing things yourself, learning from your own experiences. Like, oh, man, I did this once and it didn't go the way I wanted it to. Or rather, it just didn't go good at all. I wanted it to go this way or that way, but nothing really good came out of it. All right, I'm going to do things differently. And then the other way, which is the way that nobody wants to learn. But unfortunately, we have many people learning this way, and that's through trauma. And the life that Hasan is living is showing that he's willing to only learn through trauma. That's extremely bad. Because learning through trauma means I'm not going to take a couple of seconds to think. I'm not going to take a couple of moments to think. I'm just going to do. I'm not going to care about a single thing. And the moment things don't come out my way, guess what? I'm still not going to take time to think. I'm still not going to take time to say, hey, what happened? No. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to plug my ears. Okay? And I'm just going to move forward. And what happens, happens. And that's not the way to live your life. That is the absolute wrong way to live, to learn through trauma. Usually learning through trauma, I should say, well, not usually, but usually the type of people who, I guess you could say that best learn through trauma are, and this might sound harsh to some of you, but are elderly. And the reason I say that is because as you get older, your habits, the habits that you've cultivated throughout a lifetime, you just stick with them. That's because it's human nature. You stick with the habits you've cultivated throughout a lifetime, and you're like, I'm not going to change. It's like the old saying of, you can't teach a dog new tricks. which is just part of the saying, because I think the rest of the saying is unless it's something useful. And for the elderly, it's the same thing. You really can't teach them anything new unless it's something useful, because they've lived the whole life. You know, you get to a point where you're like 80, 90 years old, or even 70 years old, and you're just like, yeah, I'm tired. I'm retired and I'm tired. I don't want to do much. I want to sit at home. I want to relax. I don't want to worry about my bills or anything. I want to relax. I don't care to learn for anything new. I've lived the whole life. I've done everything I can do and I've needed to do. And that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. And usually when you get to that point in your life and you're elderly, what you're sort of doing is like setting up yourself to learn through trauma. You know, and unfortunately, it's just a product of human nature at that point. But when you're young, like Hasan, as you could tell, he's what, in his mid-30s, he's easily pushing 40 by now. If you're forcing yourself to learn through trauma, it's like, dude, like prepare yourself. You are going to have an extremely difficult life, even with all the money he has. You know, it's like all the money he has is not going to save him from an extremely difficult life. Because being a millionaire, having money, yeah, it's nice. You know, we've all heard the saying that money doesn't buy happiness, and that is true to a certain extent. And what I mean by that is, I do believe money doesn't buy happiness, but money does buy comfort. It does buy comfort, because being able to wake up in the morning like he does and say, I don't have to worry about paying my bills. I don't have to worry about my refrigerator being filled with food. You know, I don't have to worry about having clothing. I don't have to worry about not being able to go visit my doctor. You know, things like that. He doesn't have to worry about that. He can just go and do it. He can literally just go and do it. But having all of that money and being able to live that type of lifestyle does not mean you're going to have an easy life. You will have you can have an easier life than the average person. It doesn't mean you will have an easier life. And this guy, Hasan, unfortunately, is like I was about to say he thrives off of trauma, but no, there's no way to thrive off of trauma. Nobody thrives off of trauma. You can live through trauma, but you don't thrive through trauma. And that's what he does. He lives in trauma. And it's very disturbing. Very, very, very disturbing. You know, if you haven't seen much of Hasan, like myself, just these videos right here will show you easily, yeah, he lives through trauma. And it's something that you can tell that he's not going to change anytime soon. And unfortunately, that's going to catch up to him one day. And the sad thing about that is that people who live with trauma don't want to change. You know, the day that it catches up to them, they're not going to blame themselves. They're going to blame somebody else. They're going to blame somebody else because that's what they're used to. They're used to blaming everyone else but themselves. That's why I said earlier, there are two ways to learn. One is the easy way, one is through trauma. And people like Hasan have no interest of learning the easy way. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough. This video is about him and his dog. Like I said earlier, hopefully he changes. Hopefully he starts to learn the easy way. Okay? Like I said earlier, this life, there's no redos, there's no save files, there's no restore, there's no system restore, there's no backup, there's none of that. It's one life. That's it. That's it. Hopefully he realizes the animal abuse is not right. You know, he needs to let that dog walk around. Dogs are, by nature, dogs are curious creatures, just like humans. In their own way, but they're curious creatures, just like humans. And they're going to walk around, they're going to sniff, they're going to lick, they're going to look. They're going to do that. It's how they are. It's literally how they are.